So I just wanted to do a quick comparison between this Field Notes memo pad and this Rite in the Rain memo pad, just because I know they're both very popular and you might be trying to figure out what you want next. So basically the Field Notes is very lightweight, easy to use, 48-page memo book. They're known largely for coming in all sorts of different materials or different cover designs. So basically, like this one has this custom wood cover. I bought a ton of these when they came out. Wasn't sure if they're gonna be around forever, and they're very cool. But they just come in a lot of different colors and special editions and all that. The paper inside is a nice heavy paper that's good for like a roller ball or even one-sided with a fountain pen. I did these test lines with a Sharpie and then with a roller ball just to show you kind of what the other side looks like. Definitely the Sharpie has some bleed through. Roller ball kind of like a little bit, you could see it there, but not bad. So definitely be one-sided writing if you're using a Sharpie or fountain pen, but you can get away with two-sided writing with a wetter roller ball. In this case, that's this Uniball Air. But generally speaking, these are relatively cheap, easy to use, fun to have around Field Notes notebooks. And they just throw it in your back pocket, it bends, all that. But it uses a standard but somewhat heavyweight paper. Rite in the Rain, as you can probably guess, it's a little bit thicker. These are, instead of being 48 pages, it's 112 pages. So it's 56 sheets, but 112 pages. And it does come in different thicknesses, but this I think is pretty much the standard variety. It's a slightly different binding. This has like a true binding with the 3 different sheets in it, or 3 different leaves in it, whereas this one is it's just a stapled binding, so it's just the one thing. And if you were to unfold it, you could see it's just those 24 sheets and a cover stapled and bent. So the cool thing about the Rite in the Rain, again, as you probably guessed, is it's somewhat plasticized. I don't know exactly what they call the process, but basically it works in all weather. And works differently whether it's wet or it's dry, but it does work in all weather. So this is kind of a nice plasticized paper. And the paper, again, is very nice. It has a good heft to it, but you could tell it's slightly coated. So we'll do the same test again, and we'll see how that coating affects what you write down with. Actually, before we do the test, let's go to the back cover, because it's really informative. And maybe just pause this if you haven't used one of these notebooks before. But basically, it does not work wet or dry with gel pens, highlighters, fountain pens, watercolors, acrylic. So basically, anything that is using like a gel type ink will not go on it. With anything like kind of like water based. And we'll see how that looks right now. You can see I wrote with a roller ball, and it's just like what happens when you write with a plastic, because it just doesn't absorb into the paper. And here's writing I did a few minutes ago. Ballpoint has no problem. Sharpie has no problem. Rollerballs just won't sink in. It just sort of sits there and smudges. It will dry eventually, but it's never a really good kind of adhesion, or it never really sinks in. And then something like the High-Tech C, a little bit more scratchy. It's a little bit better, but it's still not ideal. And you look at this little rubric here, wet or dry. You could use a pencil or a kind of like a Rite in the Rain pen, which basically all that is like a Fisher space pen type, something that's designed to write under all circumstances. Obviously wax, marker, crayon, oil pastels, that's fine. Dry only, you have your permanent markers and standard ballpoints, as we saw in the previous page, won't work. And so this thing, I would say, generally speaking, is less satisfying to write on, just because it has that sort of coating, but it does work well. And it's, if you're writing outside, or you are in a kitchen or something where you're gonna worry about getting material on your paper, this is a really nice choice. If you just need something affordable and easy to use day to day, Field Notes are actually my preferred paper type, just because I like the paper a little bit better. I think the Rite in the Rain is nice to have for kind of that, you know, outdoor use or everyday carry or just that sort of stuff, and they are quite durable. The cover in particular is a lot tougher. It's really similar to cover on this moleskin Kahir, which I reviewed months ago. But the Rite and Rains are also a little bit more expensive. This one was about $5. Field notes, not quite sure on the price of field notes these days. I think I have a way to retrieve that information though. Field notes 3-pack is call it $10. So field notes are a little bit cheaper, but page for page, this at $5 is, you know, so this one is cheaper. So I don't know, about the same price. So just do what your heart says. If you need something all weather, Rite in the Rain is nice. For the rest of the time, field notes is very reasonable and nice memo notebook.